The attacks were one of many in India. There had been 4,000 people killed by terrorists over 3 years prior to the Mumbai attacks. But it was Mumbai that captured the world's attention, and it did so because of its scale. And what it demonstrates is that the terrorist is compelled to engage in this escalating scale or spiral of savagery to get our attention. The other thing that struck me was that it was being discussed as a very complex operation requiring a lot of planning. It occurred to me that if you were able to coordinate 12 people going to 12 different places in any city and at the same time take out a cell phone rather than a gun, that's about the level of coordination that would be required to do these kinds of small arms assaults. Now, they did have some explosives, and that added a level of complexity. But when you consider that most of the people were killed by small arms fire, it would not be difficult to mount such an attack in any major city.
So this makes it into a situation where I don't want to say they're changing tactics, but it looks like they figured out a way to grab our attention.
I think they are changing tactics. They're interested in killing us in large numbers. But to do another 9/11 would require a level of coordination and financing that I don't think they have. Beyond that, a complex operation like that should leave a footprint that an able investigator might see traces of and be able to disrupt beforehand. We're all looking for it. So since we've denied them the capability of doing these large, complex operations, they've used a different approach. They're using small unit, small arms tactics in multiple locations. Still requires some coordination, but is not as difficult, I think, as some people are describing it to be.
One of the changes that I noticed, they were taking hostages, not just to have human capital, but they were intending to kill them. Is that a change in the way that terrorists operate?
Well, the Islamic militants usually do kill their hostages, so that's not typically a change. But again, it's capturing the world's attention and reminding us that they are still a viable force. They're losing. We've hunted them, we've killed them, we've imprisoned them, cut off their financing, degraded their operational base. But as they become more and more desperate, they will become more violent. And Al-Qaeda in its death throes will become barbarously violent, I believe, because that is typically what happens when a terrorist organization becomes desperate for viability and for attention. They traffic in terror, and they know how to get our attention, and that's by killing in large numbers. The India-Pakistan issue, from my perspective, is important in this regard. Both services are penetrated by Al-Qaeda. They have very, very poor penetration of the group with human sources. And I think evidence of that is the fact that there were so many people involved in this operation, and the Indian government had absolutely no idea it was coming.
Is there a role that the media would play in responsibly covering terror attacks to make sure that the facts are still out, but it doesn't become such a spectacular story that gives the terrorists what they're wanting, the attention?
I think there is a responsible way to cover it. I think it's important that people are made aware of it. And I think it's important that people become as informed, intelligently informed, but exploit the events for ratings, I think, is not only in bad taste, but I think it hurts us.
In the position paper from last week, the title is A Prelude, Not a Warning. Do you still feel that way, that we're expecting to see more things to come, especially in this fashion?
I do, because there are significant hurdles to executing a weapon of mass destruction attack. The most common weapon is the improvised explosive device. And we are seeing bombing campaigns all over the world. I think it's inevitable that we will see them here, and I think we will see attacks like this here as well. The one thing that we have that many countries do not is a superb security service. The FBI and the CIA and other agencies are infinitely more competent than some of the governments abroad with whom I've worked to try and increase their talent and capability. But they only have to get lucky once.
As simple as a plan as this was, as you've illustrated with the cell phone analogy, could we stop something like that here in the United States?
It depends. We have 800,000 uniformed officers. If we attune them to look for what we call terrorism warnings and indicators, that is precursors that would have to happen before an attack, certain things one must do to execute an attack in any location, our chances of stopping it are quite good. We also have the Joint Terrorism Task Forces and others focused specifically on terrorism, gun trafficking. So the integration of our law enforcement communities now, the sharing of intelligence, the tools that they have since 9/11 are quite good, quite effective, and quite powerful. So I think that if anywhere we can prevent terrorism, it is here in our country.